Be me, 27, HR manager for a mid-sized logistics software firm. Corporate climber type. Sharp suits, sharper tongue. My life is optimized. 5 a.m. gym, green juice, 12-hour workdays, zero distractions. I view emotions as inefficiencies in the system. Especially in the workplace, if you can't keep up, you get cut. Simple biology. Survival of the fittest. I read those same articles about the male loneliness epidemic. Rolling my eyes so hard, I see my own brainstem. It's always the same narrative. Men built the system, and now they're crying because the system doesn't hug them goodnight. Scroll through LinkedIn or Reddit. Guys posting about silent battles and touch starvation. Give me a break. Try being a woman in a boardroom full of sharks. Try having to work twice as hard to get half the respect. And these guys want a medal because they sit alone at lunch? If you're lonely, join a club. Get a hobby. Stop waiting for a woman to fix you. That was my mindset. Hardened, cynical, unshakable. Until Walter. Walter was 59. Legacy infrastructure. My boss called him. He managed the physical archives and the legacy server backups, a job that shouldn't even exist in 2024. We're a cloud-based company. Everything is AWS, Azure, automated pipelines. And then there's Walter. Corner of the office near the server room where the AC hums too loud. His desk is a time capsule from 2005, beige computer tower. Stack of physical manila folders, a jar of Werther's Originals. He wore the same 3 ties on rotation. Politaire blends, slightly frayed at the bottom. He always smelled like peppermint and stale coffee. To me, Walter was a walking inefficiency, a glitch. He wasn't mean. In fact, he was painfully nice. That was the problem. Every morning, 8 a.m. sharp, he'd shuffle past my glass-walled office. Morning, Sarah. Beautiful day out there, isn't it? Didn't matter if it was raining, snowing, or the apocalypse. Always beautiful day. I'd barely look up from my dual monitors. Morning, Walter. Clipped. Professional. Dismissive. I wanted him to get the hint. Stop talking. Go to your corner. Be obsolete quietly. But he never did. He tried to make conversation in the break room. The microwave timer is the longest 2 minutes of my life. He'd stand there, heating up some Tupperware soup that looked like gray sludge. How was your weekend, Sarah? Do anything fun. I'd tap on my phone, checking emails that didn't exist. Busy. Work. You know how it is. He'd nod, this soft, sad smile on his face. Oh, sure. Sure. Important work you do. Very impressive. Then he'd try to share his weekend. I went to the park. Fed the ducks. They're getting big this year. Or watched a documentary on bridges. Fascinating engineering. I'd just nod and leave as soon as the microwave beeped. I'd go back to my desk and slack my work bestie, Jessica. The fossil is talking about ducks again. Shoot me. Jessica would send back a skull emoji. We laughed at him. Not maliciously, I told myself. Just venting. He was pathetic. A grown man with nothing better to talk about than ducks and bridges? Where were his friends? His family? I assumed he was divorced. Probably alienated everyone with his boring stories. Typical boomer, expecting the world to entertain him. Then came the merger rumors. The company was looking to slim down before a potential buyout. Redundancies. Streamlining. My favorite words. I was tasked with the audit. Who adds value? Who is dead weight? Walter's name was at the top of my list in red ink. Salary, $65,000. Role redundant. We were digitizing the last of the physical archives next month. There was literally no reason for him to be there. I felt a thrill of power, not because I hated him, but because I was fixing the machine. I was cutting the drag. A few weeks before the cut, Walter knocked on my doorframe. He looked nervous, wringing his hands. Sarah, do you have a moment? I sighed loudly. I'm really swamped, Walter. What is it? He stepped in, looking like he was walking on a minefield. I heard some talk about changes. The grapevine. It always moves faster than the official memos. I can't discuss rumors, Walter. He nodded quickly. No, of course. He paused, looking down at his scuffed shoes. I just wanted to say I'm willing to learn the new systems. The cloud stuff. I bought a book, Python for Beginners. I'm studying at night. I almost laughed. He was 59. It would take him years to catch up to the interns we hired fresh out of MIT. That's admirable, Walter, I said. voice dripping with fake corporate sweetness. But we really need people who are already certified. He shrank a little. Right. I understand. It's just, I need this, Sarah. His voice cracked. Just a fraction. The house is quiet. Coming here, being part of the team, it keeps me going. I like feeling useful. I stiffened. This was exactly what I hated. Emotional manipulation? Mixing professional life with personal sob stories. We all like to feel useful, Walter, but this is a business, not a social club. I said it colder than I intended. He flinched, like physically recoiled. Then he forced that smile back on. The one that didn't reach his eyes. Of course. Sorry to bother you. He backed out. I felt a twinge of guilt, but I squashed it. He's not my responsibility. If his life is empty, that's on him. Maybe if he'd focused on his career instead of feeding ducks, he wouldn't be begging a 27-year-old for a job. The next week, it was his birthday. I knew because Outlook sent an automated notification to the department. Walter H. 60th birthday today. 60. Big milestone. Usually for the young guys, we do drinks. Or a cake in the break room. For Walter, silence. I walked past his desk at 10 a.m. He had brought in donuts. 2 boxes. From the good bakery downtown. They were sitting on the edge of his desk. He was wearing a new tie. Bright blue. He looked hopeful. Morning, Sarah. Help yourself. Birthday treat. I didn't stop. Happy birthday, Walter. Trying to cut back on sugar. Thanks, though. I kept walking. By 2 p.m., I passed his desk again. The boxes were still full. Maybe 1 or 2 gone. The office was full of people. 40 employees on this floor. Number 1 had stopped. Everyone was too busy. Or maybe, like me, they just didn't want to get trapped in a conversation about the weather. I saw him sitting there, staring at his screensaver. It was a picture of a dog, a golden retriever. He wasn't working, just staring. He looked up as I passed. Do you know anyone who likes maple glaze? I bought too many. He tried to laugh. It sounded like dry leaves crunching. Maybe leave them in the kitchen, I suggested without stopping. Right, good idea. He stood up slowly. His joints popped. He carried the boxes to the kitchen alone. Later, I saw him eating a sandwich in his car during lunch. An old Toyota Camry. He was just sitting there in the parking lot, staring out the windshield at the highway retaining wall. I told myself, he prefers the quiet. He's an introvert. He's fine. Men are solitary creatures, right? The article said so. They don't need connection the way we do. The day of the layoff came 2 weeks later. Friday afternoon. The classic death slot. I called him into the conference room. I had the packet ready. Severance. Cobra info. The script. He walked in. He wasn't carrying a notepad. He was holding a small potted succulent. For your office, he said, placing it on the table before I could speak. I noticed yours doesn't get much green. Helps with the air quality. I stared at the plant. Then at him. My stomach did a weird flip. Walter, please sit down. He sat. He knew. The hope vanished from his face instantly, replaced by a gray resignation. I'm letting you go, Walter. I went through the script. Restructuring. Position. Elimination. Not performance-based? Blah, blah, blah. I expected him to argue, to cry, to beg like he did in my office. But he didn't. He just nodded. I understand, he said softly. Technology moves fast. I'm a bit of a dinosaur. He tried to joke. It failed. We've prepared a generous severance package, I said, pushing the paper. He didn't even look at the numbers. He just signed. Thank you, Sarah, for the opportunity. It's been good to have a place to go, to have a routine. He stood up. I'll pack my things. I watched him go. It was the easiest firing I'd ever done. And the worst. He cleared his desk in 10 minutes. Just the photo of the dog. The jar of candy. The beige cardigan. He stopped at my door on the way out. You take care of yourself, Sarah. You work too hard. Don't forget to water the plant. Once a week, not too much. And then he was gone. The office felt instantly more efficient, more modern. We removed his beige tower the next day, replaced it with a sleek standing desk for a junior dev. I felt like I had won. I had optimized the department. 2 weeks passed. The male loneliness topic came up at drinks with the girls. It's weaponized incompetence, Jessica said, sipping a martini. They weaponize their sadness. Like, go to therapy, Chad. I laughed. We had this guy, Walter. Fired him 2 weeks ago. He acted like the office was his life. So tragic. Like, get a life, dude. It's just a job. We toasted to our independence. Monday morning, chaos broke out. The legacy server migration failed, corrupted data. Client histories from 2010 to 2018 were vanishing. The new automated script had a bug. Where's the backup? The CTO was screaming. It should be on the cloud. It wasn't. The upload had failed 3 days in a row and no one noticed. Call Walter, someone shouted. He knew the manual override. I pulled up his file. Dia his number. Ring. 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 Voicemail. Hi, this is Walter. Leave a message. God bless. I left a message. Walter, we have an emergency. Need your consulting. We'll pay double. Tuesday. Still down. Losing money by the hour. I called again. Voicemail. I called his emergency contact. Landline. Disconnected. Strange. I felt a creeping dread. Not for him, but for my job. If we couldn't fix this, I was responsible for firing the only guy who knew the system. Wednesday. The CTO told me to drive to his house. Offer him a contract. Whatever he wants, just get him here. I drove. It was a small house in the suburbs. Lawn was overgrown, paint peeling. But there was a ramp built to the front door. Wooden, hand-built. I knocked. No answer. I knocked harder. The neighbor came out. An older woman, looking suspicious. What do you want? She snapped. I'm looking for Walter. From work? Her face changed, softened, then crumbled. You're from the work. She looked at me with pure venom. He's not here. Where is he? I asked, impatient. It's urgent. He's at the funeral home, on 5th. My blood turned to ice. What? They found him Monday. In the garage. Carbon monoxide. The neighbor wiped her eyes. He was so happy to have that job. It was the only thing holding him together after Mary died. He told me he was let go. Said he didn't have a purpose anymore. Said he was just taking up space. I stood there. The sun was shining. Birds were chirping. A beautiful day, as he would say. He left a box, the neighbor said. He told me to give it to the company if you ever came looking. He knew you'd come looking. She went inside and brought out a cardboard box, written on top in Sharpie. For Sarah, man, manual override procolates. She shoved it into my hands. He was a good man. You people didn't deserve him. I drove back to the office in silence. The box sat in the passenger seat. It felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I walked into the chaos of the office. Did you find him? The CTO asked. He's dead, I said, voice flat. The room went silent. I put the box on the table. Inside, it wasn't just technical manuals. It was a handwritten logbook. Years of entries. Every time the system glitched, Walter fixed it manually. Every time the automated backup failed, Walter stayed late and did it by tape. He never logged the overtime. He never asked for credit. He just kept the ship floating. And in the margins, there were notes. System error 404. Fixed. Sarah looked stressed today. Hope the project goes well for her. Server overheat. Rerouted fans. Jessica's birthday tomorrow. Remember to bring donuts? Archive migration stuck. Manual entry all night. Tired, but happy to help the team. He wasn't incompetent. He was the invisible glue holding our incompetent, high-tech asses together. And I fired him. Because he wasn't optimized. Because he was lonely and awkward and old. I found a smaller envelope at the bottom of the box. Addressed to me. I opened it in my office. Door locked. Inside was a key and a note. Sarah, if you're reading this, the system probably crashed. The override key is for the physical server in the basement. I never migrated it because the cloud isn't stable enough yet. I didn't want to worry you. I know I was slow. I know I talked too much. After my wife passed, the silence at home was loud. Coming to the office, seeing young people so driven, so alive, it made me feel part of the world. I tried to be a friend. I know I'm not good at it. I don't blame you for the layoff. Business is business. But please, take a break sometimes. You don't have to carry the world. Don't end up like me. P.S. The password is golden. I sat there, staring at the plant he gave me. It was dying. I hadn't watered it once. I thought about his boring stories, feeding the ducks. He was just trying to tell me he was alive. He was begging to be seen, and I looked right through him. because I was so convinced that men like him were just whining, that their loneliness was a choice. I thought about him eating that sandwich in his car, probably thinking about how he was going to go home to an empty house. And I laughed at him. I typed in the password golden, like his dog. The system restored. The crisis ended. Everyone cheered. Good job, Sarah. You saved us. I felt sick. I went to the bathroom and threw up. That was 6 months ago. I'm still at the company. I got promoted. VP of Operations. I have the corner office, the view, the salary. But I keep Walter's beige tower. I dragged it out of storage, put it back in the corner. I told them it's a backup server. It's not plugged in. But on the desk, I keep a jar of Werther's Originals. And every Friday, I buy donuts. I put them in the break room. And I stand there. And I eat one. And I talk to the people who come in. Really talk. How was your weekend? How are your kids? Did you see the ducks at the park? Most of them look at me like I'm crazy. The Iron Lady's suddenly chatting about birds. I don't care. Sometimes I see the older guys. The quiet ones. The ones from accounting who eat alone. And I sit with them. I listen to their boring stories about trains or fishing or their grandkids. I listen until my ears ring. Because I realized something. The silence isn't strength. The stoicism isn't resilience. It's a slow death. And sometimes the only thing keeping a person from the garage is someone asking, "How was your weekend?" and actually waiting for the answer. I water the plant every Tuesday. It's thriving now, but the office still feels empty. And no matter how efficient we get, I miss the smell of peppermint and stale coffee. And I miss the man who just wanted to say good morning. I check the male loneliness threads now. I don't roll my eyes. I read them, and I wish I could comment. But what would I say? I'm sorry? It's not enough. It never will be.